Welcome back to Autism Moms Club. This is the first lesson of session 2. We hope that you were able to be encouraged through the first session, and we have so much more to share with you in this next set of lessons. Just to review, the goal of Autism Moms Club is to succeed at raising a child with autism without feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or defeated. We do believe that this is possible, or we wouldn't be spending time trying to help amazing people like you. Again, my name is Nikki Broughton, and I am a mom of a child with autism. I'm not only a mom, but I am a proud mom of a child with autism. Life with our oldest son, Grayson, has been a journey for sure with his autism diagnosis, but it has been a learning journey and a positive journey for our family. Our Grayson got diagnosed with autism when he was 9 years old. We knew that Grayson was not typical. However, it took us a while to realize that getting an official diagnosis for him was something we would all benefit from. Our son is high functioning, which may not be the journey that you are on. However, I do believe that there are things that can be applied no matter where your loved one is on the spectrum. We were told many things about our son Grayson when he was getting his diagnosis. And we have chosen to always believe and live into the positives, not the negatives. If you have not gone through session 1 of our Autism Moms Club course, I highly recommend you stopping this lesson and going through session 1 first, as it will help you to have a positive outlook on what autism can mean for your family. Our family has gone through many difficult seasons with our son with autism, and our son will always have autism and the uniqueness that comes with that. However, he is now a functioning adult that has held down jobs, he's held down college classes, and has big dreams for his future. With the right amount of love and support, all of us can accomplish things that others may have told us would never happen. So let's continue to think positive and see what we might accomplish together. So, what does getting the diagnosis look like, and why is this important? We covered a little bit of this in session 1. However, I don't think it will hurt to review those things as we dig a little bit deeper into this process. To begin the diagnosis, I highly recommend meeting with several different people. The first person you should connect with is your child's pediatrician. Tell your pediatrician that you have concerns and that you've been noticing some behaviors or delays, maybe both, in your child. That was us. We noticed different behaviors and delays. Hopefully your pediatrician will hear you out and recommend some good next steps for you. If not, then I want to stress this, then you should find a new pediatrician. After this first meeting with your pediatrician, this should get the ball rolling. You should receive information from your child's doctor about some good next steps. Our next step after meeting with our son's doctor was setting up an interview and an appointment at the Cleveland Clinic Center for Autism. Now, we live about an hour away from Cleveland, Ohio. You may not have an autism center in your town, and you may have to travel to the nearest one. It will be worth it. Find the nearest center for autism, get a referral from your child's doctor, and go. Before your appointment at the autism center, you'll need to meet with some more people. Your pediatrician will have to fill out some forms. If your child is in school or has some other educator in his or her life, they will need to fill out forms as well. And you as parents will need to fill out forms. All of these documents will need to be turned in to the Autism Center. The work will be worth it. They aren't going to give an autism diagnosis to just anyone, and you wouldn't want them to do that. They want to do their homework on each person that they evaluate at the Autism Center. They want to make sure that they are including all of the experts that are in your child's life, and they want to include those experts in the process. That way it will help them to make the best diagnosis for your child. After all of this, an appointment should get set for you to come to the Autism Center so that they can meet you and your child. It may take several months for this appointment to happen. We waited 5 months to be seen, but don't worry, it'll be okay, and again, it's worth the wait. Once you arrive at the Autism Center for your appointment, they will want to meet you and your child. At our appointment, they met with just my husband and I, just the two of us. During this 1 hour time, they had a separate room for our son to hang out in with age-appropriate activities for him and an aide that was watching him to make sure he was okay. After this 1 hour in-person interview with my husband and I, we left the room and they spent time with just our son. During this time with our son, they did several activities with him. They played a board game with him. They sat down next to him and talked to him to ask him questions. They let him sit on the floor and build a project on his own. They even left the room for a few minutes and left him by himself. They did several activities with him in order to observe the different behaviors he would have during those different activities. During our son's assessment at the Autism Center, these activities that they did with him were all intentional and they served a purpose. Also, they needed to observe him and his behaviors without my husband and I in the room, so that it was an environment where we were not helping him or interacting with him in any way. For instance, during the board game activity, the doctor that was assessing our son noticed that although our son would patiently wait his turn, he did not give her eye contact the whole time they were playing the game together. When the doctor sat across the table from him to ask him questions, he would not look at her when he answered. She would ask him some questions and give him time to ask her some questions back, but he never asked her anything. She even on purpose talked about herself to see if he would get interested in the story she was telling and respond and ask her something. However, he never did. There was no give and take in the conversation. While he was sitting on the floor building with things, he never did once look at the doctor to see if she was watching him or to see if she liked what he was building. She even on purpose got up and left the room. He did not watch her leave. And when she on purpose walked back into the room a few minutes later, he again did not look up to see her or watch what she was doing. They observed that our son would talk when he was asked a direct question, but other than that, he did not initiate any conversation. Also, when he did talk, he never looked at the person he was talking to, and he did not seem to care or notice if he was alone or if someone else was there. He was really in his own world. This evaluation that happened at the Autism Center, along with the many, many other behaviors and delays that our son had that were mentioned in the documents that got turned in by us, his pediatrician, and his teachers, were all compiled together by the Autism Center. After a few weeks from the appointment, we returned to the Autism Center for his official diagnosis. We received an 11-page report that summarized everything that the Autism Center put together for our son. In this report is summarized everything that we as his parents, pediatrician, and teachers had told them. The doctor that performed our son's evaluation took the time to go over this report to us and explained everything in great detail. It documented all of our chief concerns for our son, which is the reason why we were there. It explained what behaviors they were looking for in our son and the diagnosis of it all. And it also gave us as his parents a next step for him. It told us what therapies would benefit him and even what our next step as his parents should be, and reaching out to some parent support groups, which we actually discovered were hard to find, which is one reason why we are doing this whole thing. The report that we received from the Autism Center had his official diagnosis of autism. And this official diagnosis opened several doors for our son that had not been opened before this official diagnosis. After the diagnosis, our son was permitted to receive therapies and help that were not before available to him. Also, our insurance now covered these therapies because of his diagnosis. Before, we had to self-pay for these services. It truly benefited us all. So, where are you on this journey of getting a diagnosis for your child? Do you already have a diagnosis? If so, are you taking advantages of the services offered to you and your child? If you have not started this step yet to get the diagnosis, then I highly recommend you starting this process. Make a phone call to your pediatrician and start the process today.